Okay, I'm Jürgen from SAP, and we run a lot of OpenSearch clusters and fill them with predefined dashboards to do observability. Like we do that for a Cloud Foundry app environment, we do that for Kima environment, but then there's the emerging standard of OpenTelemetry, where also internal guidelines stepwise force development teams into it. And also then there are also happy adopters for sure. And with OpenTelemetry, that's really evolving. And the question is now then we have to rebuild all the dashboards. But the good thing is now we all have the same fields. We have semantic conventions which are evolving. They are changing a little bit in the recent past. But at least if you can see here, some of them are marked as stable. We can also check other ones where they are marked still as experimental, but I think we can make a lot of gain from it. And I think the business value often comes from the dashboards when we have this analysis. And yeah, maybe we can pair on it and evolve. So then let's have this one. One of the obviously shared fields is trace ID. So each span has a trace ID, but also the logs can get the trace ID. We did a little tweak. Let me just change it. We made it a link, and it means it's an internal link to the observability plugin, and we use the value of that link. And we have a template, so that shows the value. We can also then scroll down and see how it looks. And we made it an URL. So how does this materialize? If we aggregate lists for this, and we have it now clickable. If we use that in these aggregations, if we use that in the Discover tab, everywhere we have these links clickable. And let me just click it once. Hope this is a good one. Yes, it is. So good to see. So now we have a flow for the traces. But I just showed you with OpenTelemetry, there is a lot more fields standardized and where we can take the benefit out of it. So, like, just to demonstrate it, we can do the very same thing also then from the dashboard. And now we can see that trace, but we can also like still have the respective filtering for the trace ID within the same dashboard, and then we can see, okay, this is a certain trace ID, and what are the respective logs also for this. So that's also something that comes with OpenTelemetry, that you can now correlate the different signal types. Okay, so now we have the basics to go into a little bit more of an advanced case where I think there is huge potential. And maybe just open the trace analytics view. Where in this example, we do not see the database. And database is often a thing that is not working properly, is not well configured, and you want to know about it. Here it's not displayed, but the data is actually in the spans. Before preparing this talk, I wasn't also not sure about whether things should go into the observability plugin or into the dashboards. But also I did some time back just a prototype how this could look. I think in the meantime it's called outgoing requests dashboard, where we can filter based on the trace information, on the trace span for HTTP requests, where we have all the attributes. We can also then filter for databases, and here it becomes really nice, because here we also have fields like database system, and you remember that can be made clickable. So we could then introduce something when we click on it that we get to a specialized HANA database dashboard, or if it's another database, we can also. So this will give us a huge, huge power on how to build this. Okay. So this is one you can, with the databases, unfortunately, I think it's still experimental, and they also recently changed. They tend to use more, reuse more generic fields. So in the beginning, they try to have specific ones, but then they see, okay, they can reuse. And this is, I think, a process currently ongoing, but if they think they're ready, they mark it as stable. So yeah, huge potential. And then if you can see like what values you can take to filter, like the database table, you can have the database statements. You could also filter for the operations, different kinds of databases. You can filter for the service which is calling the database. And this is then just to show it once here. So I can filter for the service. And then in this like outgoing requests dashboard, I can see, okay, these were the database requests. These were the requests from that service to the OData services. And these were the HTTP requests. Okay, I see in this prototype not everything is filtered correctly, but I think you get the idea. So with that outgoing requests, we can have the chance to filter for the sender and for the target, and get the classical like red metrics, like request metrics we have, like success rate, response time percentiles. We can also filter for specific like request paths, status code, and so on. So I think it's really powerful, and yeah, not sure how far you looked into it, how far you're in the journey. But yeah, I'm happy to find allies, to find people to discuss these topics, move forward, because that's really things that can be made reusable, and it's not with the specific fields. So with the log analytics case, it was very often that people have very specific field names, and that harms reusability. And now we have that OpenTelemetry efforts where we standardize it, and we're just at the beginning. These things I just showed are mainly about trace information, trace spans, but potential is huge, and with the interlinkage, yeah, I was happy to share that with you. Who has questions? There's
I saw the integration between traces and logs.
Yeah.
If you thought about any of the integration of metrics over into traces or logs, or try to keep it kind of separate?
I'd say I'm not yet there.
Yeah.
So this is a very complex topic. There are some things like foreseeable with huge benefits. That's especially for the traces, which you don't want to keep for years, but you might want to aggregate them and then combine them, and then have a dashboard which then, if you look at longer time spans, uses the metrics, but for shorter intervals can use the traces. And so these kind of roll-up stories can be there. Like for some, like for classical metrics like resource metrics like CPU and the like. So these can be integrated, but you need to have like fields to correlate them. And like CPU is not connected to a request, or like not that easy to connect to a request. And this is where it becomes challenging. But if you have any ideas, we're also at the very beginning with this like journey in putting this in a meaningful way together. So our customers can build their own dashboards on top of it. But yeah, so this is to come.
Cool, thanks.
I was looking for a search bar. Can you search for event types or things like that, or?
Yes. So what we usually do with the dashboards is that we have these lists, so which then give you already the aggregates to filter, but the classical search bar is still available, and for sure then applies also to the whole dashboard. But like we make it even easier by just making it to click on filtering something, so that the user doesn't have, like, the user should also see what are like the hosts or the services, and then just click on it. That's more how we think it's used, but still there's for sure the search bar on top. But I think the other ways are easier for non-experts to use, but you have both options.
And this is just a super basic question, but it's just for my own information. Traces, is that the same as trace logging or trace logs, or is it a different?
Yes. So the spans, OpenTelemetry spans.
Perfect. Yeah, literally just a terminology question from my side. Thank you.